welcome back to the Huffman house. You are in the kitchen with Lisa. Mike is at work, and today we're going to go over canning, preserving food for baby. So our granddaughter is almost a year old, and of course we want her to eat the best that she can. Right now our fruit trees are not fruiting yet, or our berry trees, or bushes. So, you know, right now I am having to buy the fruit, but that's okay. I go ahead and buy organic. I make sure I peel the fruit, wash it real good, and all that good stuff. And then I preserve it in two different ways. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to can the fruit. And like I said, having a baby around, you all are used to seeing me can vegetables and that type of stuff. So now we've kind of moved over to stuff for the baby. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring you along while I get some of this done. I personally pick up my produce, my fruit, apples, pears, peaches, bananas at Aldi. They usually have a pretty good variety of organic stuff that you can buy. So I'll go there, buy that, and then what I'm going to do is get it ready first and peel it. So this all's got to get washed real good and peeled. Now, luckily, Mike is a sweetie and got me this peeler, because I tell you, when you hand peel 20 apples with carpal tunnel, it does not feel good. So he got me this handy dandy little peeler, fruit peeler thingy. I can definitely link it down below for you guys if you're interested in seeing it. What else did I want to tell you? Well, let me just go ahead and get the fruit peeled. I guess I'm probably going to start with I'll just go ahead and start with the apples. So let me get that peeled, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so I just finished my last peeling of an apple. So what I have here is just some cold water with the Fruit Fresh Produce Protector. You don't have to use this. You can actually just use lemon juice if you want. The purpose for this or the lemon juice is, you know how apples or any fruit really starts to turn brown once you've peeled it or cut into it. So this protects it from turning colors. Doesn't hurt the taste, doesn't make it any different in any way. It just protects the fruit from turning brown. Like I said, this is a little bit expensive. I'll put up here how much it is on Amazon. But you can just use lemon juice. So remember that. You're going to want to just kind of have that there for the fruit as you start working on it. So after that, well, what I wanted to show you real quick was there's two different ways that this peeler works. So one of them is just to peel it, just like that, okay? The other one is you can make them into little spirals like this, and then just cut the rings apart. I like to use them like this when I'm doing the freeze dryer. Woo! Knew it was in there somewhere. And have little rings freeze dried, which I'll show you here probably at the end of the video. So anyways, so I have peeled them all. I've got them in this solution, and then I'm just going to cut them up into, I think it says 1/4 inch cubes in the books, the ball book. So yeah, I'm sorry, 1/4 slices. Okay. Or diced into 1/2 inch cubes. Got it? Maybe? Okay. Anyway, so now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to cut up all the fruit. Again, as soon as I cut it, I'm putting it back into the solution so that it doesn't start turning brown while I finish cutting all these up. And then, of course, nothing goes to waste around here because we have a whole lot of chickens. That's all I'm going to say, a whole lot. And just bought some more. But anyway, yeah, this all will go to the chickens. I'm gonna finish getting the apples cut up and then I'll bring you back again. Okay, so I got it all chopped up. This is just the apples. And like I said, 1/4 thickness for sliced, sorry. Ooh, which my peeler does. And then it says 1/2 diced, 1/2 inch for diced. So let me ask you a question. Do you see my diced? Okay. My husband is the type that everything has to be the exact same size. Has to be the same size. Because, which is true, it would cook more evenly if you're cooking it or whatever. I get that. But I'm one of these type of cutters. So leave down in the comments below. Are you like my husband? Were you like everything uniform? Or are you like me, just willy-nilly it and it's good to go? All right, leave me a comment. I'm curious to see. And let me know if you are with a significant other, if they're the same way as you or y'all are two opposites like me and Mike are. I'd love to hear that. Okay, so that's done. So basically what's going to happen now, we're going to use these are 1/4 pint jars. 1/4, some call them jelly jars or 1/4 pint jars. Now, I got myself all kinds of confused because I kept saying it was 1/4 of a cup. It's not. It's 1/4 of a pint. So it is 1/2 cup serving size. So these are perfect since she's just getting into the food and, you know, she's still on, well, breast milk. She doesn't do formula. You know, so these are like the perfect size servings that we know exactly what she's eating and how much she's eating. Okay. You can do them in whatever size, you know, you choose to do them. They don't stay good for very long once they're open, and so it's just easier to have them sealed into these size jars and go. Now, I will sometimes do a full 1/2 pint jar, and that is because I keep her during the week, Monday through Thursday, and I do her breakfast. So if I open a 1/2 pint size jar, you know, and feed 1/2 of it to her for breakfast one day and the other 1/2 the other day, works out just fine also. So however, you know, which way, whatever toots your horn, floats your boat, you go with it. Go with it. All right. So like I said, I'm just going to get this fruit in there. Of course, my hands are very clean. No worries there. And then I personally can mine in just plain water. The Ball book does have, let me show you the book first, and I'll try to link it below. And then on page, well, it doesn't really have a page, does it? In the green stuff, but you can look in the index too. It has formulas. Formulas? Oh my word. For making light syrup, extra light syrup, medium syrup. So you can can them in whatever you want. We try not to add any added sugars because the fruit has enough sugars in it as it is. Now I will tell you, by canning it in just plain water, you know, some of the flavor does seep out of the fruit. I mean, it hasn't seemed to bother her yet, so we just go with that. Some people often will use the no sugar added, or what am I trying to say? No added sugar juices, and can them in that. And that way it helps retain the flavor and the sweetness of the fruit itself. I mean, however, you know, again, whatever works for you, go with that. We do try to keep as much sugar out as possible. Now, as you get a little bit older, you know, maybe we will add just a little bit in. We'll see. Who knows at this point. So anyways, I'm just going to get these filled up to, I believe it's 1/2. Let's see. Fill it up to 1/2 inch. Yes, 1/2 inch headspace. And you do not have to add any lemon juice to these fruits that I'm doing today. Have enough acidity for the water bath canning, so you do not have to add in any lemon juice for it. And I just kind of mentioned it just a second ago, but we will be using the water bath canning method, not the pressure canner method. These are acidic enough that you can just do it with the water bath. So I know a lot of people start off with water bath canning before they move on to pressure canning, or some just stay at water bath. And there's only certain things that can be water bath canned, so make sure you do your research before you start doing this. Again, this will be for the water bath canner. All right, I'm gonna fill up my jars, and then I'm gonna put the water in them to a 1/2 inch headspace, and then I will be right back. All right, so now we're gonna just debubble, make sure we got all the air out. Once you start doing that, you'll see that the water level kind of went down a little bit. So once you get the air out, you're just gonna wanna make sure you get up to that 1/2 inch of headspace. These 6 are ready. I am going to get my lids and rings. I have vinegar on my paper towel, and that's to wipe down the rims to make sure you get a very good seal on them. Some people on things like this that it's just water tend to not do this step. I always follow it. That's how it's supposed to be done, so that's how I'm gonna do it. Let's put it that way. And it's just to make sure that there's nothing on there, like I said, that would maybe affect the lid. Especially when you're doing pressure canning and you're doing like bone broth and stuff, you know, because it has that fat in it. You try to drain as much as you can, but if that little fat gets on the outside of the jars and you try to put the rings on, then it may stop it from sealing. Woo! And we all want to have them seal good. All right, so we'll get these done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up these apples, and then I will get my pears and my peaches peeled, chopped, and jarred. No reason for you to stand around and watch me do that. And then once I get all that done, we will continue with the canning of baby food. Oh, I did want to tell you one other thing while we're here, and that is that I know a lot of baby food is also pureed. You cannot puree quite a bit of foods. So I do sweet potatoes for her, carrots, green beans. I do those pressure can, of course, and you cannot, like I said, you cannot puree them. So I do them in chunks, and then once we open it, we can, you know, when she first started, we had to kind of mash it down for her. Now she can actually pick up and eat small pieces of it, so we don't really have to worry about that. But just know that there's no safe way to can at home pureed foods, with the exception of, there's always an exception, and that's applesauce. There are recipes to do applesauce, and I believe you can do pear sauce also. But as far as like the sweet potatoes, carrots, and all that, you're gonna cube them up, or however you want to can them. And then when you open them is when you can mash them up if your child is at that stage of only being able to eat like pureed food. So just wanted to throw that in there because some people don't quite, they say, oh, you can can anything with a pressure canner, but you can't. Pureed's one of those. All right, anyway, I'm going to finish this, get the rest of the fruit ready, and I will, again, be back. So I got all my jars ready, and I'm getting them into the canner. Again, these particular fruits can be water canned and don't have to be pressure canned. Now, I have an electric water bath canner made by Ball, and I'll show that to you in more detail once I get these loaded in. So I'm just going to get my jars in. Now, when you are loading up canners, so some of them you can do a second layer, and in this case I can do a second layer because I'm using the smaller jars. You always have to have one of these put in between the jars, and that's so that, here, let me show you. Basically so that they're not sitting right on top of each other, because that could affect the seal. So if you can catty corner them, I don't know how else to say that, offset them, there you go, that's a better word than catty corner. Anyway, hello. So yeah, you can do it that way if you don't have a second way to stack them. You just don't want them directly on each other. So I'm gonna get all these in there. And then with water bath canning, you have to have at least 2 inches of water above the tallest jar. Okay. All right, so my jars are in there, and now I'm going to go ahead and fill up my canner. Well, alrighty then. So we've got it at 2 inches above the top of the tallest jar. And like I said, I was going to show you this canner real quick. Let me back you up a little bit. I'm not all up in your face, so it plugs in. And there's your little dial to get it to boiling. And then another thing that's really nice about it, number one, it holds the temperature. You're not trying to keep your stove adjusted to keep it boiling. And then the other thing is this spout. So I usually do this over by my sink to where I just have to open the spout to drain it and not have to lift it. But for filming purposes today, I have it over here. No biggie. Mike will help me get it emptied out when he gets home. So anyway, we're just going to wait till it comes to a rapid boil. And then we will set our timer for 25 minutes for the size of jars that we're using today. And we'll be back a little bit later on. Okay, everybody, it is done. Let's see. Oh, that's some good stuff right there for the baby, right? All right, I had mentioned green beans and the sweet potatoes earlier. Again, I just do in these little half-cup servings. And the other thing I do with the fruit is, we have a freeze dryer, lucky. And I just make little apple chips, pear chips. Not only does the baby enjoy it, us adults enjoy it too. These are great to have. You can buy them in stores. But knowing that you make them at home, especially with our own fruit, once it starts coming to that time of the year, I mean, you can't beat it knowing exactly what's in your food and what you're giving your baby. I mean, come on, you can't. Nothing better. Thanks for hanging out with me today while we got this done. I plan on getting you out to the garden this weekend and show you what's happening there, because that's all coming up. And yeah, so thanks for hanging out. If you could, like, subscribe really helps the channel out a lot. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.